Last Wednesday, Christian apologist and political activist Charlie Kirk was gunned down on a college campus in Utah while conducting a public debate. My heart goes out to his wife and his two small children who will have to live with this for the rest of their lives. But this was not just a personal tragedy, this was a collective tragedy. Let's not forget that the First World War was set off by a political assassination. When a political assassination happens in a democracy, it's a bit like a heart attack. It's telling you that there's something terribly wrong. It's telling you that democracy is in trouble. The response to a political assassination also tells you something about the health of a democracy. And I have to say that the response, particularly from the left, was extremely disappointing and suggests that there is moral rot at the heart of American democracy. These responses do not represent the mainstream left. They don't represent the majority of public opinion. However, on social media, you saw a large number of posts that expressed a kind of joy at the news of Charlie Kirk's death. Some were suggesting that he had it coming because of the fact that he engaged in this controversial discourse. Others went so far as to celebrate his death. Now, if these were just one or two cranks at the extremes, you might say that it's not such a big deal. But the fact is, there's a pattern. You could see that a lot of hard left people on social media, supported by some journalists and even some elected politicians, were suggesting that this murder was understandable, or that Charlie Kirk somehow provoked his killers, and therefore that it was, if not excusable, certainly understandable. This kind of wishy-washy, ambivalent response to a brutal killing of someone in the middle of a public debate suggests that we have a real problem on our hands. We have a certain current of public opinion, even if it's a small minority, that is basically ambivalent and ambiguous about the evil of political violence. I'm just going to read a couple of quotes to give you a sense of the kind of responses that you were seeing from the hard left. So here's a few examples. Fiona Wilde, a local political representative in Burnley Council in Lancashire, England, wrote the following on Facebook. Quote, "I don't condone violence, but I do think he made himself a target and brought this upon himself. So good riddance to a not very nice man. America needs to get rid of the other one now." And then you had Matt Dowd speaking on MSNBC. And he said, "You can't say these awful words and then not expect awful actions to take place." Right? And then you had some young people who put up a video that went viral on TikTok, who were singing, "We Got Charlie in the Neck." Laura Sosh Lightsey, Assistant Dean of Students at Middle Tennessee State University, said, "Looks like old Charlie spoke his fate into existence. Hate begets hate, zero sympathy." You had school teachers, you had university administrators across the country, yes, a minority, but a significant number of them coming out and suggesting that Charlie Kirk either deserved this or had it coming or somehow brought about his own death. Okay, so let's be very clear. First of all, if you are on the left, I think it's time for you to call this out, to distance yourself from these radical leftists who, frankly, don't have any conception of the meaning of freedom in a democratic society, and have debased themselves by either celebrating or condoning or minimizing a murder. Secondly, I think we should all take a step back and ask ourselves, how have we come to the point where people think they can come out into the public square and celebrate a murder without having serious repercussions for their lives? How has it come to this? I think we have to call out these responses, expose them, shame the people who would debase themselves in this way by condoning this kind of violence or minimizing it. And perhaps consider the fact that aggressive political rhetoric, the dehumanizing rhetoric we've been using, the exclusionary rhetoric we've been using, the idea that some people simply don't deserve to live or share in our common life, that some people are, just because of their opinions, are intrinsically a threat to our democracy, that if someone doesn't agree with me, they're a fascist or they're a Nazi. That doesn't help. That doesn't help. That contributes to the polarizing atmosphere. I see this assassination, apart from the personal tragedy that it is, and I pray that Charlie Kirk's close friends and family find a way to get through this and get on with their lives in spite of the enormous sadness that is going to be hanging over their heads. Apart from that personal aspect, it could be a wake-up call for people to reconsider this general shift towards a more radical and exclusionary form of discourse. That this polarizing process is actually quite dangerous, as we've seen. And when we open our mouth to condemn people, to suggest that people are fascists or are unworthy to be citizens, we should think about the consequences of that. We need a moral baseline of mutual respect, and we need zero tolerance for political violence